Welcome to This Explainer. Come close for a second, because right off the bat, we need to talk about some of the ugly stereotypes floating around out there. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of, frankly, unscientific generalizations, and they mostly have to do with your hormones. You know what I mean, right? People have this really reductive habit of equating hormones only with things like teenage crushes, sudden zip breakouts, or, why someone might just burst into tears watching a perfectly normal car insurance commercial. Which, okay, to be totally honest, I do that too sometimes, but we really need to clear this up. Because when people talk about being quote-unquote hormonal, they almost always mean sex hormones. Or as the author John Green so hilariously put it, acts that involve scootily pooping. But here's the thing. Leaning into these stereotypes means we are missing the big picture entirely. Sex hormones, they are just a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole story. Here's the absolutely fascinating truth. We are all hormonal, literally all of the time. Right now, as you're taking this in, you have at least 50 different types of these chemical messengers just coursing through your body. From the moment you're born to the day you die, they're floating through your blood. They're regulating your metabolism, they're managing your sleep cycles, controlling how you respond to stress, and maintaining that vital homeostasis that basically keeps you alive. Out of all of that, only a very select few have anything to do with reproduction. So, let's dive into Section 1, the two bosses, nervous versus endocrine. I want you to think of your body as this massive, complex organization run by two very different bosses. They're complementary systems, and they're constantly gathering intel and shouting instructions over each other to all your different bits and pieces. On one hand, you have the nervous system. This boss communicates using a high-speed expressway of neurons, firing off lightning-fast electrochemical action potentials. It's highly specific and, well, practically instantaneous. But then, on the other hand, we have today's main focus, the endocrine system. Now, this boss prefers a much slower, wider stream of data. Instead of neurons, it secretes hormones that travel through your blood. And because they're taking the scenic route through the bloodstream, they move slower, sure, but they produce widespread effects that last a whole lot longer than a quick zap from a nerve. So, where are all these hormones actually coming from? Well, they come from glands. Simply put, a gland is just any structure that makes and secretes a hormone. But unlike your beautifully nestled, super glamorous organ systems, like the cardiovascular system, for instance, your endocrine organs are, frankly, kind of small and lumpy. They're rogues. They don't sit neatly together at all. They're scattered all over the place, from the master gland, the pituitary, tucked way up under your brain, all the way down to your throat, your kidneys, and your genitals. Okay, so here's the crucial question. With all these rogue glands just dumping hormones into your bloodstream willy-nilly, how do they know where to go? Well, it's all about a lock and key mechanism. A hormone can only trigger a reaction in specific target cells that have the exact right receptors for it. It's like how some master keys can open a ton of doors, while others only fit one specific lock. Take the thyroid, for example. It produces thyroxine, which stimulates metabolism and targets receptors in almost every single cell in your body. That's a widespread key. But then look at the pituitary. It produces follicle-stimulating hormone to help trigger sexual maturity. That hormone only targets specific cells in the ovaries and testes, highly, highly localized. Let's take this down to the actual chemistry of the cell. How does a hormone actually bind to its target? It all comes down to one thing, solubility. You see, most hormones are either made of amino acids or derived from lipids. And since your cell membranes are made of lipids, this creates a really fascinating dynamic. Water-soluble amino acid-based hormones just can't get across that lipid membrane barrier. It's like a bouncer at a club. So they have to knock on the door. They bind to receptors on the outside of the cell. But lipid-soluble hormones like steroids, they essentially have a VIP pass. They glide right on through the cell membrane and bind to receptor sites located on the inside of the target cell. But either way, outside or inside, they alter the cell's activity to keep your body perfectly in balance. Which brings us to Section 2, maintaining balance, and what I like to call the pie scenario. If hormones exist to keep your body in perfect homeostasis, what throws it out of whack? Let's say you sit down and eat a few generous helpings of strawberry rhubarb pie. And just to make it incredibly interesting, let's make it a la mode, loaded with ice cream. Boom. After that pie, your blood glucose levels go straight through the roof. Enter the pancreas. The beta cells in your pancreas immediately release a hormone called insulin. This lowers your blood sugar by telling your cells to stash that excess sugar away as glycogen or fat for later use. But now, imagine it's been hours, you haven't eaten a thing, and you are entirely, sadly, pieless. Your blood sugar drops. Now the alpha cells in your pancreas send out glucagon. This is the rescue hormone. Glucagon raises your blood sugar by triggering your cells to release that stored glucose right back into the blood. It's this constant, vital, totally amazing balancing act.
All right, moving on to Section 3, Cascades and the HPA axis.
Now, hormones don't always work solo in a simple back-and-forth seesaw like with the pie. Sometimes they get caught up in these massive chemical relay races called cascades. This is where one hormone exists purely to trigger another, and then another. One of the absolutely most important cascades in your entire body is the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis. Thankfully, we just abbreviate that as the HPA axis. To see this crucial cascade in action, picture this. You're fast asleep. You're having a super peaceful dream about, I don't know, petting pandas with Emma Watson. Suddenly, the smoke alarm goes off. Your brain registers a burning house, and boom, the biological frenzy begins. Step 1, your nervous system signals the hypothalamus. That's the hub where your nervous and endocrine systems meet. It immediately releases the hormone CRH. Step 2, that CRH takes a super short trip through the blood to the anterior pituitary gland, triggering it to release a second hormone, ACTH. Step 3, ACTH travels all the way down to the adrenal cortices sitting right on top of your kidneys. When it hits, it triggers the release of a massive frenzy of freakout compounds, specifically glucocorticoid hormones like cortisol. So what do those panic hormones actually do? Well, this is your classic fight or flight response. The HPA axis coordinates directly with your sympathetic nervous system to radically alter your body's priorities. I mean, these hormones immediately ramp up your blood pressure. They dump massive amounts of glucose into your bloodstream so your muscles have instant energy to just run. And, incredibly, they shut down literally all non-emergency services. Your immune system? Paused. Sperm and egg development? Completely halted. Your body is 100% focused on surviving that burning building.
But eventually, hopefully, the fire is put out, right? So how does the cascade actually stop? It does it through a brilliant feedback loop. The hypothalamus, our master monitor, senses those stress hormones still pulsing through your blood. Realizing the danger is passing, it stops secreting that initial CRH trigger, which eventually causes the other glands to stop releasing their panic hormones. But, and this is a huge takeaway, because this is the endocrine system, these chemical messengers are traveling in the blood. They aren't quick electrical zaps that just turn off. This hormonal response takes a whole lot longer to subside, because those stress hormones, they linger in your blood until they are finally, slowly broken down by enzymes.
Which brings us to our final and perhaps most important question of this whole explainer. We are a long way from the myth of hormones just being about teenage crushes or crying at commercials, aren't we? These are powerful, slow-burning chemicals that control our very survival. So think about this. If it takes a really long time for stress hormones to break down and clear out of our blood, long after the proverbial fire is out, how is your HPA axis handling the endless, nonstop alarms of our modern high-stress lives? It is definitely something to think about the next time you feel a bit hormonal. I really hope this has given you a newfound respect for your endocrine system.